The 6 to 7 Figure Show, Episode 7. Ready? Let's hit it.
Broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun outside Phoenix, Arizona, this is the 6 to 7 Figure Show. Tired of working so hard and having no time? Take your six-figure practice and turn it to a thriving seven-figure enterprise. And now, your host, author, speaker, mentor, and strategist, Frank Bria.
This is the 6 to 7 Figure Show. Welcome. My name is Frank Bria. I'm your host, and today we're going to focus on driving traffic, because it doesn't matter what kind of lead magnet you have, what kind of email sequence you have, if nobody sees it and no one comes, it is a complete and total waste of time. So this is where we're going to nail traffic generation. I'm going to tell you all of the great secrets you need to know about driving traffic to your lead magnet so that you can start to build an audience. But today, I'm going to teach you all of that stuff. If you want to interact and ask questions and get some ideas for your own business, then you need to join us at 7 Figures Plus. That's our free Facebook group. So you just go to frankbria.com, right smack in the middle of the page. It says, join us at 7 Figures Plus. Click on that link to get your free invitation, or just come onto Facebook and search for the group 7 Figures Plus. Either way, we are there welcoming you with open arms so that you can learn also how to drive traffic to your website. So just remember, we're talking about it today, but all this week in 7 Figures Plus, we're going to be continuing the conversation so that you can ask questions and get help from other business owners as well as from me interacting live about driving traffic for your business. All right, let's get started. There are 4 kinds of traffic that we're going to talk about, okay? And I'm going to walk you through each one, but we're really going to do a deep dive into 2 that usually, in my experience, people are not using to their fullest potential. Okay, what are the 4 types of traffic? Number 1 is SEO. I call this organic traffic, okay? Basically, you do search engine optimization, you have content that you use to drive people to your page. Google puts it in their search engine rankings, and then magically people show up at your page and flood you with 1 million visitors. Okay, that's the theory. In practice, search engine optimization is much more difficult than that. And actually, you have to have an infrastructure in place for it. So for lead magnets, the idea of using SEO to drive traffic directly to a lead magnet is very difficult, okay? It is less difficult to use SEO to drive traffic to a blog post or video content that has been appropriately optimized, okay? That's easier. And then from there, you might be able to put them into a lead magnet. So just keep that in mind. It used to be that a lot of people talked about driving SEO traffic directly to a lead magnet. That's really tough to do. Okay, it's really tough to do. Search engines are actually kind of penalizing that kind of content. They see it as salesy. They don't see it as adding value. And all of the stuff you would need to do to make the search engine optimization stuff work for a lead magnet is actually going to work against you in the search engine or in the process of getting people to opt in. So, not my favorite tactic, okay, for lead magnets. It's great. Long-term tactic if you have blog posts or other content. So let me talk about that briefly. Because the advantage of SEO is that it's free, fundamentally. I mean, if you do your keyword research and you put the information in and you optimize your page for SEO, that's really free. You can do that by yourself. I mean, sure, you could hire somebody to do that for you, but it doesn't cost you anything. The downside is that it takes a long time. Okay, so if you're looking to drive results in your business immediately, this is probably not the first place you go. Unfortunately, the problem is that when most people talk about traffic, this is usually the first place people go. They say, let's get you ranked for the search engines. That's just not a great first tactic. In fact, a lot of people get confused about this because they think, well, if I type my name into Google, I want it to show up in the first couple of pages. Well, unless your name is like Joe Smith or something like that, that's probably not too hard to do. And you probably don't really want to spend a lot of time doing that, because how many people are really going to type in your name and then go to your website from Google. You know what I mean? Like if they know you, if you know your name, they probably know your website, some of your other branding information. So if you've done that well, people are going to know your website anyway. And you don't want to drive traffic to a homepage. I mean, the homepage is a horrible place for traffic because there's all sorts of things on that homepage, and you're going to have to sort them into different groups. You don't want to do that. You want to drive targeted traffic specifically to have them do one very particular thing. And that's what a lead magnet is for, and a landing page is for. So SEO is organic. It's free. It's a good long-term strategy for blogs and podcasts and things like that. But it's tough if you want to get results in a quick way. Okay. Second major category of traffic is going to be social media and viral marketing. Okay, so you have Twitter or Instagram or Pinterest or Facebook or whatever, and then have a page, and then you're driving people to your lead magnet that way. Again, it's free, and if it's faster than SEO if you do it right, but it's also fundamentally out of your control. I mean, this is actually what you have in common with SEO, is that you're not really in control of whether or not this is going to work or not. I mean, you can have really awesome headlines and stuff to help drive people really good value and content, but fundamentally, it's still left up to other people to retweet you or to share or to follow you or all that kind of stuff. And it's well known that social media marketing traffic converts at a lower rate than most other things do. Of course, if something goes viral, suddenly it can explode into this crazy thing. I mean, and you never know what's going to go viral. I mean, last night I was following a Twitter feed from somebody who was on a plane that was delayed. They were sitting on the tarmac, and she was tweeting the conversation of the couple sitting across the aisle from her who happened to be breaking up right there on the plane as they were sitting there, So that suddenly exploded, and in like an hour, it was a trending topic, plane breakup. But that you also can't control that either. Like you don't know if your thing is going to become like that viral, okay? And all the people who tell you they've got the formula for viral figured out, there is no formula. It's just spontaneous, organic surprise. And if it happens, awesome. Hat off to you. I salute you. Make the most of it and rock on. But it doesn't always work that way. So social media also could be viral marketing. I mean, in other words, you could just be not necessarily attached to a particular social network, but you may have friends and things like that are doing some work for you and sharing some stuff. But fundamentally, it's passing this information along that makes it viral or social marketing. All right. The third type of traffic is paid traffic. That means you're literally buying a customer. Okay, and this is the part that scares a lot of people off. And it's a really, really great opportunity, and I'm going to spend a lot more time in this episode talking about paid traffic. Its advantage is, of course, the disadvantage is that you have to pay for it. The advantage, however, is that if you do it right, it can move fast. That means if I need to drive traffic to a lead magnet today, I can do it with paid traffic. Okay, there's almost the only this and the fourth category can you actually make something happen today if you need to make it happen. Paid traffic, and of course the fourth thing I'm going to talk about here in a second is actually even more effective in happening fast, but it takes more of your time. But paid traffic, you should think about that. Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Twitter ads, display network ads, AdWords ads, like all of these things are ads that drive to lead magnet depending on your market and depending on what you're going to be doing. So think about that. Finally, the fourth category is what I want to call the hustle. Okay, this is where you literally reach out to individual people and invite them to hop onto your lead magnet and join your list. Now, there are ways of doing this and there are ways you shouldn't do this. But one of the great ways to do it online in groups like in Facebook or in LinkedIn or on Twitter even is to engage in a social conversation where you're adding value and following up with an invitation to your free lead magnet. So if you have a lead magnet that's like the 5 things you need to do to lose 100 pounds and you're engaged in social conversations with people who are trying to lose weight, you're going to be answering questions, getting to know people, talking, adding value. And at the end, you're going to say, hey, I don't know if you know it or not, but I actually put a quick little checklist together that has the 5 tips that I've seen work when people are trying to lose weight, why don't you hop off over into this page right here, and then you can get a copy. People don't see that as a salesy thing. Often they see it as helpful, especially after it follows an actual engaged conversation with you. If it's the first thing out of your mouth, yeah, they're not going to be happy. They're going to see it as basically you spamming them. But if you've engaged in a real conversation that didn't have anything hanging on the end, like, well, if you help me, it's going to be for a reason, then people are really open to doing this. And by the way, I'll tell you that people who have a social conversation with you and opt into your lead magnet are much more likely to open and react to the emails that come afterwards. So again, hustle, it's free, it's fast, but it does take a lot of time. It's not particularly scalable. But when you're getting started, it's a great way to get started. There's no reason why you can't hustle 10 leads a day. Really, seriously, you spend a couple hours. We're going to talk about how to pull that off. But anyway, those are the 4 categories I want to talk about. SEO, social media and viral, paid, and hustle. And then in the next 2 segments, I'm going to talk specifically about paid and hustle because I think they're the ones that get neglected the most. So I don't want to get into the nuances of Facebook versus LinkedIn versus Twitter, whatever. I just want to talk about the general idea of buying customers. Okay. If you are not currently thinking of advertising on Facebook or almost anywhere else, you should. Now, certain markets are going to be different. Certain ad markets are going to be different than others, ad networks. For your target market. So you need to seriously think about that when you decide whether or not this is something you're going to do. But I do want to point out to you that you can test advertising with very small budgets. AdWords and Facebook are probably the easiest 2 places to start testing small ad budgets. I think the only ones where you're going to have some issues are going to be LinkedIn, where the cost per conversion is a little bit higher, and it's a little tougher to actually engage in that ad network, and display ad networks where usually the minimums are quite high. Although there are some new services available now which are allowing you to get into display ad networks for less money, but they're still kind of new. But I want you to think about the numbers here, the numbers game, because a lot of people are really they don't want to buy traffic. They don't want to do advertising. But think about it. What's the difference between spending money to put up a website and spending money to put your ads in front of people on Facebook? There's really no difference, right? You've spent money. Maybe it's $100, maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $10,000 to put up a website, and it is simply just an electronic version of an advertisement for you. I mean, hopefully it's better than that, but that's generally what it is. So when you think about buying an ad, all you're doing is you're putting up a little electronic version of that for everyone else to see as well. And, it's just moving in and out of people's, in front of people's faces, depending on the network that you use. So it really should be something that you seriously consider doing. So how do you make it work for you? Well, the idea is that you need to understand what your conversion costs are. That's the big metric that you care about. You talk about bid for cost per click and all that kind of stuff. That's how people charge for stuff. But the metric you really want to care about is how much am I paying per conversion? Okay. Now that conversion could just be an opt-in, so you're just buying an email address, or it could be buying something. So the opt-in or the conversion is literally purchasing your product. So you need to think about that. But either way, you will need to know that number, and you need to have it memorized, because that's going to let you know whether or not you've got something that's going to work for you or not. That ad network is going to work, if the ad copy is going to work, etc. So make sure you take the time to figure out exactly what that cost per conversion is going to be. And then, you think how much that conversion is worth to you. It's easy if it's a sale. Like if you're buying a $99 product or $1,000 product, you know how much your cost per conversion is a percentage of your total sale, and you probably want to keep it to around 20%. maybe you could go to as high as 50% for things that are digital products where there aren't any really costs out of pocket for you. 50% is on the high end. That's usually what you would pay an affiliate to send traffic in your direction. But you should be looking for your costs in that general vicinity. Now, if you are just are getting an email address, so there's not really money changing hands, then you're going to need to do a little bit of work. You need to know how much that email address is worth to you. So that means taking the entire funnel from email converting all the way through paid customer and backing off each of the percentages. So for example, let's say it goes from email to webinar, webinar to sale. Then you need to know what your conversion from email to webinar registration is, and then you need to know your conversion of webinar registration to purchasing. And of course, there's webinar registration, webinar attendance, right? There's multiple pieces of the funnel in there. And so then you take those percentages and you back them off. So the way to do that is, let's say that 10% of your emails sign up for the webinar, and let's say 5% of your webinar attendees actually purchase something. So, and let's say it's a $10,000 item that you're selling. So the way that you back that off is you say $10,000 times 5%. Okay, and so that's going to be basically what is that? $500? 10,000, 1,500. Yeah. So, and then you're going to say, okay, there's 10% of those. So that $500 times 10% is $50. So that email is worth $50 to you. So if you spend $10 to acquire an email address, then and those numbers hold true, then you should be making money because $10 is 20% of your email. So that means on average, you'll be spending about 20% of your $10,000 in order to get a new customer. And so that means I'm going to spend that money and get $10,000 out of it. So that's not a bad deal at all. I mean, I spend basically, I'm converting at a 5-to-1 ratio. So that's terrific. I basically spend $2,000 and I earn $10,000. And I spend $2,000, I earn 10, 2, 10, 2, 10. But who doesn't want to do that all day long? So that's the promise of paid advertising when you figure that out. Now, of course, you have to figure it out. So here are some things that you need to know. First of all, get some help. Okay. Now you might try this on your own, but I assure you that you're going to save yourself so much money in the long run by just getting somebody who knows what they're doing to help you. Even if it's like setting up so that you're just tracking the metrics correctly. But you can start running ads like on Facebook, for example, and absolutely have no pixels, no conversion pixels on your website. And so all you're doing is you're paying for clicks for people to view, and then you're not tracking the information. Right, so you don't want that to happen. You don't want to be stuck not knowing the important pieces of information. Also, targeting, so important. Okay, don't send your ad out to everyone. It's like if you're a health coach and you're working with women, let's say, who don't have a lot of time, you don't want to be sending, like you wouldn't put an ad in the newspaper for everybody. It would be a total waste of money, right? You want to target specifically to your ideal customer. So that means two things. That means number one, you need to have a target, right? And we talked about that earlier. And then number two, you need to do the research to target where these people are and what they are going to react to. So you got to do that work up front. And then third, you want to manage your budget slowly. So start small, manage the metrics, understand what your conversion rates are, and then grow the budget over time. There's really no reason to throw all in on your advertising. So that's what you want to do in those 3 steps. Get some help to set them up, target your market, target your ads, and then slowly crank up the budget as you start to see success and could justify the return on your investment.
Finally, I want to talk about hustle. Okay, hustle is the critical last component here for your traffic generation strategy. And if you're just starting out, this is the most important. In fact, if I was advising a new business that had absolutely no budget and nothing, this is the only thing I would tell you to do to drive traffic. Okay? Hustle. What does that mean? That means you are going to start engaging in groups where your ideal clients are hanging out. Social media networks, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, wherever it is, in order to generate a conversation, to start a dialogue. Okay? This is going to be involving you adding value, answering questions, providing assistance to this network of people. And you're going to do it on an individual basis. You're going to reach out to an individual and you're going to have a conversation and you're going to try to offer some help. You're not going to sell anything. You're going to just try to offer some help. And then at the end of that conversation, you're going to say, oh, by the way, I don't know if you know or not, but I happen to have this lead magnet, which you're going to not call a lead magnet. You're going to say it's a whatever. And I'd be happy to get you a copy of that. You just go here and it's yours for free. And usually people say thank you to that. Now, that would be different, of course, if you just opened with that line. Like if you just started spamming people on Facebook or something like that and said, hey, come get my lead magnet. Come get my lead magnet. No one likes that. Even in a very first conversation, like when you connect with people on LinkedIn, one of my favorite descriptions of this comes from Paul McManus, is a Book Yourself Solid certified coach and LinkedIn expert. And he talks about that first connection on LinkedIn, and he calls it humping your leg. So everything's about his dog for him, so it's all dog metaphors. But when people basically get your connection on LinkedIn, and then suddenly they immediately say, "Go get my stuff, go watch my video," without adding any value. So you want to avoid that. You want to add value, have a conversation, offer some help, because then you have earned the right to say, "Hey, by the way, you might be interested in this," and that's how that works. So spend some time every day doing that. There is no reason, by the way, why you can't spend enough time to do that 10 times a day. And here's what happens. Like, think about this. If you did that 10 times a day, you would make a connection with 1,000 people in 3 months. 900. Close enough. 930 or whatever it is. But you would have connections with enough people that you could have a serious list if you're starting from scratch. So most people who don't have customers that they're interacting with and just are sitting around with like crickets waiting for the sales to come in, I tell them to go hustle. This is what you need to do first. Now, it serves a greater purpose than just lead generation. Okay? Hustling actually offers you the opportunity to have conversations with your ideal prospect. And that allows you the opportunity to seriously think about what it is that they have to say and what their pain points are so that you can adjust your messaging, you can adjust your offers. Those are critical, important points while you're building up your business or if you're scaling your business. So even if you've got an existing practice and you're now trying to scale your lead generation and automate it, that's when you really have to know your ideal customer. Because, when they come to you, your ideal customer is anyone with money, right? But if you have to go out to them, you need to understand the ideal customer psychology so that you can develop the appropriate messaging around the pain points and what they need and how you're going to solve the problem and how you're going to deliver that. And there's no better way to figure that out. In fact, I would argue there's no other way to figure that out than to have serious conversations with these folks. So if you are having trouble generating leads, my recommendation is that you skip the SEO, you skip the social media and viral marketing, and you even temporarily skip the paid until you've done some hustle. And you've really understood what your ideal prospect is, what they want, and how you can work with them. And until you've done that, you're going to have a really hard time articulating your value proposition in a way that's going to be meaningful to that audience. So go hustle. Go out and hustle. Block out an hour or two every day to go hustle, because that's what is going to change your business for you. That's all the time we've got today to talk about traffic generation, but hopefully this has given you some ideas about how to move this traffic to your lead magnet. Now, like I said, you got the 4 things going on there, but if you need help dialing it in or figuring it out, come on over to our free Facebook group, 7 Figures Plus, where we're talking about traffic all this week, and bounce some ideas off, see what other people are doing, and maybe you'll be inspired to figure out exactly how to crack the code on driving traffic to you. Now, if you actually want help on implementing this, that's what's happening in our Scale Mastermind. So if you want to join that, then you want to jump on to our 7 Figures training and our mastermind page. You can find that at frankbria.com/mastermind. And that is where you will find information about how to join the Scale Mastermind, which is where really we're getting all the real work done. But if you want to talk about it this week, the place to be, 7 Figures Plus, that is a free Facebook group. There is no reason why you shouldn't be joining there. Come on over, frankbria.com, right smack in the middle of the page. Step 2, get your invitation to the 7 Figures Plus Facebook page, or just come online to Facebook and search us at 7 Figures Plus. Thanks so much for being with us. My name's Frank Bria. I have been your host today for this episode of the 6 to 7 Figures Show, and till next time, we're going to be talking with an actual business owner who's trying to solve the problem of getting traffic to her lead magnet, and we will be doing that in just a couple of days. Until then, I wish you all the best of luck and great business, and make it happen.